Hi everybody, welcome to your Module 3 overview video. Hope this video finds you well and healthy, and hopefully you were able to wrap up Module 2 fairly easily. So moving right along, I'm going to be grading and reviewing your literature review, that thinking skills reflection that you submitted to your Google Drive folder last night. I'll be grading that probably this evening, maybe I'll finish up tomorrow, and with that grading I'll be placing in a new sheet or tab on your current grades sheet for Course 3. So that way you'll be able to monitor your grades or your points as you kind of progress throughout the course there. So be on the lookout for that. When I do go ahead and copy and paste that new sheet or that new tab, I'll also be adding your attendance points for the first in-residence attendance. If you have not already, please navigate to the course website, obviously, because that's where you'll get some of these other documents, but make sure that you follow that link to vote for the potential Course 4 dates if you haven't done so already. There's only been 13 people who have responded, and I need everybody to respond in order to make those changes. Again, if you need a reminder of what the course website is, it's tinyurl.com/ccsdgifted3. And then once I get all those responses for those Course 4 dates, I'll be sure to send out an email, or in the next module, I'll let you know as soon as possible. That way you can make those arrangements if you need to. So moving into Module 3, you've got 3 items to read or review: the Teaching Tools, Chapter 4, Teaching Gifted Kids, Chapter 6 through 7, and Understanding the New Blooms, which is just this short little website or like web page. It's not even like an article that talks about a new way of sort of seeing Bloom's taxonomy, and I'll introduce that in just a moment. Your assignment for the week is to complete your Bloom's taxonomy model lesson, and this is one of 4 model lessons that you are going to be submitting for your assignments in Course 3. And make sure that you're continuing your shadow experience. So please, when you're copying and pasting those new journal entries, that you're focusing on sort of critiquing or really incorporating some critical reflection that is incorporating what you're learning from these gifted courses, or that is focusing on how the teacher is differentiating or working with or supporting gifted students. So make sure that thread is in there. It's not just this regurgitation of what the teacher did. All right. So the new Blooms thing that you're going to be reviewing, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I know that we're all pretty familiar with Bloom's taxonomy and the levels of thinking. Anderson and Krathwohl kind of came up with a new one that sort of makes the argument that sometimes, or I'm going to say sometimes because maybe, there's some evaluation that happens before you actually have that synthesis or before you actually end up creating. So Bloom's taxonomy is often considered in terms of like nouns. Anderson and Krathwohl's new Bloom's taxonomy is considered more in like verbs. So maybe that's helpful. I'm going to argue that I think that we often are continually evaluating. You may evaluate before you create something, that probably after you create something, you're also still evaluating it. So there's a little bit of a cycle there. And so hopefully this little website might be helpful in just refreshing your memory about some of the different levels of thinking or types of activities or types of assessment that you can use that you will incorporate into your Bloom's taxonomy model lesson that's going to be due in this week. So these model lessons, if you look at your levels of achievement report, and this is at the very bottom of your syllabus, Clark County has you doing 4 model lessons at 10 points each. Jess and I have adapted them slightly because they originally wanted you to create for example, for this week, to create the Bloom's taxonomy lesson, but then in order to get full credit for it, you also had to implement it. And I know for middle school and high school teachers that you often have your units planned well in advance, and that modifying a lesson and implementing it with just a week's notice might be really, really challenging. And so we've adapted that to, instead of this week's assignment, instead of it being a full 10 points, because to get that 10 points you have to implement it, it's going to be 9 points, but then you're going to have a chance at some point during Course 3 to implement it, and when you submit your reflection that you've implemented, you'll get that extra 1 point to get a total of 10 points. And so you'll see that on your grade sheet that I'll be pasting into your Course 3 grade sheet, where you'll see your Bloom's taxonomy lesson is 9 points, creative problem solving 9 points, multiple intelligence 9 points, and parallel curriculum model 9 points. And then the model lesson implementation reflections, that's like 1 point for each of those, so for a total of 4. So it's still giving you your total of 40 points, but giving you some freedom to implement the lesson at some point during Course 3. So those model lesson implementation reflections, I'm going to I'm just gonna move here real quick, are going to be due in in module 9. So you've got several weeks. So I think whenever you're deciding on what lesson you want to adapt for this Bloom taxonomy lesson, that it's a lesson that's in the near future, hopefully within course 3 dates, which our last resident session is April 17th, which means April 11th is module 9, which is when they'll be due. So some lesson before April 10th. April 10th. I can subtract. 17 minus 7 is 10, so before April 10th. So the Bloom's Taxonomy model lesson, you're going to choose a lesson that you can deliver during course 3. Make sure that you're acknowledging how you are differentiating or servicing your gifted learners here in this lesson plan. And so make sure that you're just including your lesson objectives, that you're listing or elaborating on your activities and your assessments and their resources, but somehow make sure it's pretty apparent as to how this might service your gifted learners who often have that wide range of higher order thinking skills. And so make sure to do that however you like. I know we all lesson plan differently, but somehow make that known and make sure it's easy for me to see. I mean, even it's for your gifted students, whether you want to bold those statements or whether you want to highlight the specific things that you think are going to be differentiated for your gifted learners. I think that would be really helpful. So that document you can find, it's just a template. You can find it on the course website and under Module 3. Make sure, please make a copy of the form, label it with your name. Sorry, I know sometimes brains get all foggy and we forget to make copies, but hopefully we're all patient with each other. Your model lesson plan rubric here, if you link to that rubric, you'll see all the rubrics are really just on the same one, where your Bloom's taxonomy here, notice it's up to 9 points. That 10th point, again, will come by implementing it. So as long as your modified lesson correlates the identified element of the model, which is like all the Bloom's levels of thinking, and that you've differentiated for gifted students and for the levels of thinking that you have there in that lesson plan, as long as that's really, really, really apparent, you should get the full 9 points. So please review back to this rubric, maybe reassess yourself based on what you've submitted before finally submitting it, just to make sure that you are comfortable with what you're turning in. And then, in Module 9, you're going to have all of your reflections of implementing that lesson, and submitting that will get you your maximum of 4 points. So that's all I have. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll be uploading this module overview video to the course website so that you can review at any point in time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Send them to me via email. And that's it. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.